Hello students, you are once again welcome in the class BA Part 2nd English Literature, and we will be doing Act 4 Scene 3rd and 4th. It will be a critical summary of the play. In this scene 3rd, we come to England. The scene shifts to England. Malcolm and Macduff. Malcolm is the prince, and Macduff is the warrior who has been fighting against Macbeth and who has fled from Scotland. Recently, in the earlier lecture, Malcolm and Macduff, both of whom are now in England, they are shown talking to each other about their misfortunes and about the wretched conditions prevailing in their country. Macduff describes that every morning new widows howl and new orphans cry in Scotland, and we are reminded of Macduff's wife and children being killed by Macbeth in a very merciless manner. Malcolm has a feeling that Macduff has come to him not as a supporter but as Macbeth's spy. Therefore, in talking to Macduff, Malcolm does not open his heart at once. In fact, Malcolm subjects Macduff to a hard test to determine whether he is loyal to him or to Macbeth. Macduff does not, of course, realize that he is being subjected to a test. When Macduff tries to arouse Malcolm's anger against Macbeth on the ground that Malcolm is the rightful heir or the successor to the Scotland throne, Malcolm pretends not to be interested in kingship. He says, I am not interested in it. Malcolm says that he is lacking in all those qualities which a man needs in order to become a king. Malcolm says that he suffers from many defects of character, such as avarice and lust. In fact, Malcolm says if he had the power, he would pour the sweet milk of concord into hell, throw the universal peace into a state of confusion, and confound all unity on earth. On hearing Malcolm describe himself in such dark colors, Macduff feels grief-stricken, and he laments over the tyranny to which Macbeth is subjecting his country without there being any hope of salvation. Malcolm at last feels convinced that Macbeth is sincere in his expressions of patriotism and his proffered help which he has extended to him. He then explains why he had painted himself in dark colors and now assures Macduff that he does not suffer from the defects of character which he has just enumerated. On the contrary, Malcolm says he has never slept with a woman, never violated an oath, never coveted even what belonged to him, and never betrayed anyone. Macduff feels pleased to hear, and even though he is somewhat puzzled by this altogether different self-portrayal of Malcolm, and suddenly a doctor appears and tells Malcolm that English king, actually Edward the Confessor, will soon be coming out to grant him an interview, and that at this moment the king is busy treating patients believed to be suffering from incurable diseases. See, Shakespeare has in a very meticulous manner introduced a scene where English king Edward the Confessor had these supernatural powers to heal even the incurable diseases by touching. His touch has this power, and it is very famous historical, you can say, saying that he had this power. When the doctor has gone, Malcolm explains to Macduff that the English king possesses miraculous powers of healing even the incurable diseases known as the evil, that is, scrofula, and that furthermore the king possesses a heavenly gift of prophecy, means he can predict. And then Ross arrives and he reports to Malcolm that Scotland is passing through a period of great suffering and agony. They cannot call their country their motherland, he says. Their country is now a graveyard where people are hurt, sighing, groaning, and shrieking with pain, where men are dying or they are being killed in large numbers. Ross then reveals to Macduff the murder of his family by Macbeth's men. Macduff's grief is indescribable and he prays to God to give him an opportunity to take revenge upon the ruthless tyrant Macbeth. Malcolm approves of Macduff's swearing and tells him that the time has come when with the support of English king they can invade Scotland in order to liberate their motherland from the clutches of Macbeth. And now we enter into scene first of Act 5, and this is one of the crucial scenes in the play where Lady Macbeth, her somnambulism, which we call a disease when a person walks in her sleep, in her or his sleep, that is somnambulist. So Lady Macbeth walks in her sleep and talks to herself. We once again are back to Scotland and we learn that Lady Macbeth is feeling mentally sick. She is so disturbed that she walks in her sleep during night. A waiting gentlewoman and a doctor watched Lady Macbeth in her sleepwalking. Lady Macbeth, in the course of her sleepwalking, keeps talking to herself. All her talk is about the murder of Duncan, the murder of Banquo, and the murder of Lady Macduff. She also refers to the knocking that was heard at the gate after Duncan's murder. The doctor's comment on this behavior of Lady Macbeth is that unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. And this is really very important to note. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. If you indulge in unnatural deeds, definitely you will face unnatural troubles. The doctor advises the waiting gentlewoman to look after Lady Macbeth well and to take every possible care to prevent Lady Macbeth from inflicting some injury upon herself. He is afraid that Lady Macbeth can hurt herself. This scene shows that Lady Macbeth is, after all, a woman only, with all the weaknesses that a woman can have. The murders have begun to weigh heavily upon her mind and allow her no rest even in her sleep. Her conscience has become a source of torment to her and she is afraid of darkness. The woman who had said that a little water would clear all the blood from her husband's hands now says, "What? Will these hands never be clean? And all the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand." She also says in her sleepwalking scene that nobody could have imagined that the old man, Duncan, had so much blood in him. In short, this scene shows the mental collapse of Lady Macbeth and demonstrates that evil has in it the seeds of self-destruction. If you do something evil, definitely it will arouse your conscience and it will actually horrify you. Ultimately, it will trouble you. And this is the end of uh, scene 5, act 5, scene 1. Thank you very much. We will do this much, and rest of the play will be discussed in the next two lectures, and we will complete the critical summary of Macbeth in our next two lectures. Thank you very much.